Hello and welcome back to another session, and today we are going to look into the implementation of the basic design patterns, and I'm going to pick up today prompt chaining as a design pattern for this video. So let's get started. Okay, in this I'm just going to do a little bit refresher. What did we cover last week? So we talked about the prompt chaining, which is a sequence of steps we have to take to solve a given task, and we took example of customer inquiry, where I was talking about a delayed order is there and customer wants to know what is the status. So we said, okay, we will do the extract order details first, check order status, and then generate a personalized message. So it has to happen in order. Now let's take a look, how do I do it in terms of implementation for this agentic behavior. Before I start this notebook, I want to make sure that there is an assumption which is clear to you, which is I'm going to use a LangGraph, which is a framework from LangChain. And it's a LangGraph is very popular framework for building agentic application. Here I'm assuming that at least you have a little bit idea about how to use LangGraph framework, because I'm not going to cover LangGraph basics. But yes, my focus in this video will be how do I use LangGraph to achieve or implement this given use case for demonstrating the prompt chaining as a design pattern. So let's get started. Here I have to connect to the Colab environment. I will share this notebook. Do not worry, the link will be shared in the description where you can access this notebook easily. All right, so let's get started. So I connected it. Now I need to install a few libraries, and I will explain it step by step what I'm doing it. There's just a basic information of the same use case which I already covered in the video. So let's install initial libraries. We need LangGraph, LangGraph Core, LangGraph OpenAI, and Python.env, but I think this one is not needed because I'm not using an environment. I'm using user data, which is part of the Colab, because I want to access the OpenAI key. Next, I will import the packages. Here I'm heavily using LangGraph packages. You see LangChain, LangGraph, and then LangChain OpenAI for connecting to large language model, which is GPT-4 4.1. And okay, now I will be accessing the OpenAI API key, which is already stored in my as a keys here. So I'll go back, and you have to do the same thing. You have to set up the local keys once you procure it from OpenAI website. Now I need to load the data. So for this use case, I have prepared some dummy data. Here is the data which I have, which I want to show you. So let me open these two data files. One is a customer.json and next is the order.json. This is just a dummy data about customers and orders. So let me take open Sublime to show that what does it contain. So we'll bring in both the files, 1, 2, bring it here. So let's check. Customer is just a customer ID, name, email, phone number, loyalty tier, and all basic information along with the address and how many orders the customer has placed so far, account created. So this is the basic one. And then orders, what is the order ID, which customer has placed this order, which is the customer ID, status, because that's what we are interested in, items which were ordered, total amount, and few more information like a shipping address and all. So this is dummy data, assuming that you have something similar, which will be there in the case of e-com, where normally customers are asking for their order status. All right, now let me bring these two files into the Colab environment, customer and orders.json, and now I'm going to load it. Okay, let's check. Do we have the file? Okay, files are there. Okay, so one thing is I need to create data folder. Inside the data folder, I need to place these files, no problem. So I can create new folder called data, and then move these files inside it. So refresh. So I'll take this file, move it here, this file, move it here. Okay. So refresh. Okay, both the files are moved. Now let's run this. So we got both the files loaded, and respective variables are holding these two data. Customer will hold customer data and orders will hold orders data. Okay, so that's the stuff. Now we will use it. Now I'm going to start this information about storing information about the graph. So before I go and start creating any kind of a LangGraph or implement LangGraph, I need to come up with some kind of a state. State is the kind of a object which will keep a snapshot of whatever action I'm taking in at each node. Now, if I go back and talk about the use case which we have implemented, so a user is going to ask a query about their order. Now that is the user query, so that's I need to store user query, so that's the first variable. And then extracted info, what I will do, I'll take a query and go to LLM and say, can you extract the, let's say, order ID, customer name, customer ID, in case that is also presented. Can you do that? So if it is, and it will give me the information, so that I'll store it in this variable. Then once I have the order ID, I will go to same order JSON data and fetch the order details, so that I'll store here in order data. And then customer data, because every order is placed by a customer, so that has a customer ID. I will go and fetch data from customer.json. I'll store that data in the customer data. Then order found, which is the status, because I need to check whether order was available or not when I try to fetch it from data. So it is a boolean true or false, and if it is found, means in case it is available, then what is the status? So like, what is the status of the order, which is what customer is looking for. And then I prepare the response, reply back to customer. Now this one is the first step. So this is like just a state or the snapshot which I will be updating at the process of every step in the graph or in the agentic workflow. Now step number 1, extract information. Now it means I'll be asking LLM, in this case GPT-4 model, and saying that here is the query, and you will return me information from user query in this format: order ID, customer name, and customer ID. So very simple prompt. Examples are also given. If customer asks, where is my order 101, I'm expecting the response like this. Okay, and it says I'm Sarah checking order 101, then I'm expecting order like this, a response like this. Now this is a simple implementation to invoke chat, OpenAI chat model, which is GPT-4 mini I'm using here. So fine, let's continue and let's run this one. Okay, I think I missed previous one. This one I missed out. Okay, now let's run this. Next step, step number 2. Now once I get the order ID from LLM, then I need to go and look into database. Here the database is actually those JSON files. We don't have a real database, but assuming that in a real production application we will have a database. So what I'm doing here, from that state object, the one which is called order inquiry state, I'm extracting this field called extracted info, which contains actually order ID, and in case customer is giving their name, that is also available. And I'm saying extracted. From the extracted, I'm getting the order ID. And now I check if order ID is not there, it means I don't have order data, customer order found. I'll set everything false or null. But if there is an order ID, which I can get based on the order ID which is given by the LLM model, or which is actually given by the customer in their query, then I can extract the data. Now if data is not present, then again I will say no data found and all. Otherwise I will pull the customer data. Okay, so order data, customer data, both I will extract, and both I will be checking. If they are not there, then I need to return accordingly, like okay, it is not available. So both positive and negative scenarios I am handling here. Very simple function. So let's run this. So this is my second step. So remember, we are talking about prompt chaining. So step number 1, user query extraction, which means extraction of the information from user query. Second step is, based on the user query, which is order ID, I'm going to ask database, give me the data for this order ID. So that was the second step. Now third step, if I did not get the data in the database, it means there was some problem in the order does not exist, right? So I need to do validation. So that's exactly I'm doing here. If order found, because previously we would have set order found like true if it is found, if it is not found I'm setting it as false. I'm checking that exactly here. If order found was true or false, if it is false, then we just return like extracted information and the order ID, and write a prompt asking LLM to generate a empathetic and apologetic message or as a response to customer, saying that what are the possible reasons why I could not able to find the information which they are looking for, and provide clear next steps. And we can say call customer support at this number. Okay, so that's the validation step. Now if validation, and that's all, and this is just I'm going to call the model, nothing else. Now step number 4, if validation pass, what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to get the status of the order. That is the main query which user has asked. Now I'm going to pass again the state object, get the order data, customer data, and then prepare a status info, which is by going to these JSON and extracting order ID, name, status, item, total amount, estimated delivery, order date, shipping address, all the fields which are which I need, and I prepare a status info object basically in a dictionary and set it in a status info. And if you see these all things, whatever I'm setting here as a status info or extracted info, everything is actually part of the status state variables. You see here status info, earlier we had extracted info, then order data, customer data, order found, everything is we are actually generating as a part of each and every step of a workflow, agentic workflow. So let's run this. Validation is done. Let's run this one, and now final step is generate a response. Previously I just got the status, that information is just with the agent, but now we have to respond it. When we respond it, we give a very clear message. As a friendly customer service, we'll say that you're a friendly customer service representative. Generate a warm personalized response about the customer order. Guidelines are address customer by name, clearly state order status, include delivery information, add tracking details if available, be conversational and helpful, keep it concise, 3 to 4 sentences, and then we'll send this response. So okay, so let's continue there. I think yeah, so this is fine. Now finally we'll have a routing logic. Routing logic is just a step which I will explain it a little bit later when I talk about the graph, formation of the graph. But we need this function because we are actually having one step, which is the validation. If validation pass, then this sequence continues, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. But in step 3, if validation fails, which was the step 3, then there's no point of continuing and checking the status because order does not exist. Then what should I do? So I should end the workflow, and how do I do it? That I will show you in a moment when I cover the graph. Now let's build the graph. To build the graph in LangGraph, if you have seen it in the documentation, we have to use state graph, which is their class, and pass order inquiry state or any state object which we have introduced for a given application. In this, for use case, I have introduced order inquiry state. First of all, I will add all the nodes because it is a graph directed, it's a DAG, directed acyclic graph. So we have multiple nodes and they are all connected. They are all connected in some direction. So that is like an extracted node, which is a first node. Then first I define all the nodes: extracted node, database lookup, validation, check status, generates success. These are my 5 nodes. So you can think of the step 1, step 2, step 3, 4 and 5. So these are 5 nodes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they're supposed to run in order. That's what is called prompt chaining. Now how do I link these nodes? That is where the function called add edge. And first node is always start. So from the start, where it should point to extracted info. From the second node, which is extracted info, where it should point to database lookup. Third node, which is database lookup, it should point to validation. Now when the validation node is there, it has 2 possibilities. One is it can go to next node, which is a status check, or it can end. So if status check, if the validation fails, that is where I wrote the function, this one, route after validation. So the previous one, where I'm checking the order found's value. If order found was false, it means I'm just routing it this one. If it is in this case it is true, then it goes and checks status. If it is false, means else condition. End means come out of that workflow and generate a response. So that I think we already covered it in the validation method. So that's a route after validation node, because this is not a, this is a conditional node, you can think like that, route after validation, so called add conditional edge. And finally, if the conditional, once I have passed the validation, then from the validation, because validation will point to check status or end, so if I'm on a check status node, which is step 4, then I should go to step 5, which is generate success. So I'm going to link both of them together and build a graph finally, and finally last one is the generate success to end, because that's the last node. So graph builder.compile, this is the function. Once I call compile function, I'll get a graph, and when I create it, so graph is created. Now how do I visualize this graph? So graph is created in a step by step, in a coding or programmatic manner. Now I want to visualize it. How do I do it? I'll use Python display library, which has an image and display functions available, and I'll call display image graph.getGraph. So graph is something here which we created as a variable, so complete graph is created, and I'll call getGraph and then say draw mermaid underscore png, which is a function which will convert this whole image, this whole graph into image in a png format. So let's run this. So once I run this, I will get this whole graph created: start, extract info, database lookup, validation. So you can see that these are my steps 1, 2, 3, and because this validation step is something conditional, that's why I'm going to having two paths. Either I will end the graph and send the response back, or I will continue to find the status of the order which user or customer asked, and then generate a success message and then end it. Now let's test it. To test it, what I've done is simple function. I've written run order inquiry, and the query will be passed. So we will generate the graph, same graph, we will invoke the graph, so not generate. The graph is already generated or already created. I will invoke it, so using invoke function, and in invoke function I will pass keyword arguments. So what are the arguments I need to pass? So I can pass all these things, whatever I defined as a state. In fact, I don't need to do all this. I'm just keeping it is fine, but generally I need only one right now, the value which need to pass, because that's the input user query. So that's the query which will be passed here, and then it will invoke it and give me the status back. So let's run this, and here we are going to run this with the query: when will I get my order 101 delivered? So let's check what happened. So it says step 1, extracting order information, order ID 101. There was no customer name, no customer ID given. Fine. Then what is the step 2? Step 2 was querying the database. So we did a database query. We got order 101 found for Sarah Johnson, status in transit, and then we tried validating it, saying that yes, order exists, and this validation was checked, it was found, so it passed. So validation passed. So step 3 is clear. Now if validation is passed, I need to go and now fetch the status and the latest update, and which is saying status retrieve as in transit and package is out for delivery. That is what we can see here. So this is 101. Here we have status as in transit and shipping address, last update, package is out for delivery. Okay, so this is what we have. Let's continue that, and finally I will go to step number 5, which is going to generate a response. And you see here is the response. This one is just I'm printing the complete state object which I was maintaining it, but this is the final answer which will be shown to NDO, means the customer in this case, who is asking the query. Hi Sarah, because we asked model LLM to generate a message by quoting the name of the customer. Hi Sarah, your order number 101 with the wireless headphones and phone cases is currently in transit and out of delivery via FedEx, and you can expect it to arrive at this address. And if you see, this address is also given here, shipping address, that's what it is picking up for. And feel free to track your package using tracking number. There's some where is this coming from. So you see even the tracking number is there, ending with 6123, ending with 6123. So it has referred this complete order ID information, which is our database, and generated the response for end user. Okay, so this is one. What I can do is I can run this again for, let me randomly pick up some order, let's say this one. Okay, let me do this for 104. I'll go back and continue here. 1 second, where is it? Okay, has my order number 104 arrived yet? So let's call this extracting information. Okay, so go here, let's check what happened. Yes, querying database for order 104, it was found, name James Anderson. Let's check 104. Okay, customer is 004, so go back to customer. 004 is, yeah, James Anderson. Fine. Validating, order found, validation passed, and then package delivered to mail room. Okay, let's check what is the order status says. Package delivered to mail room. Okay, fine. Generating a personalized response. Hi James, I'm happy to let you know that your order for the mechanical keyboard was delivered on January 11th to the mail room at this address 321 ELM Street. Okay, so you see that how we are able to respond in agentic manner by just giving access of a database to LLM, and it can find it can search in the database based on the order ID or any unique thing, whichever you think that it can use to retrieve the data, whether it's a customer ID, order ID. But in this case, because it was about order status, so we definitely need order ID. Now, what I can do, one more quick check where the order ID does not even exist. So let's run this. So you see, there is no, if I just search 999, there's no order ID with 999, and it will say querying database, order 999 not found, order not found, then this is just ending. So validation failed, it just got the error response set. Now we are sorry, so we still have to respond, right? If it is not found, I can't just cancel the request and just raise the error in the backend. I need to still respond. So you see, we are saying we are sorry, but we could not find an order with ID 999. Please double check the number for any typos or try any different order ID. If you need further assistance, feel free to call our support team at this number. So this is how we are able to generate very, very contextually relevant messages by giving access of our data to a model and making it as agentic behavior. And this was prompt chaining for you. So thank you. See you in the next video.